on this
Monday,
thing.
Monday. Welcome back.
What are we doing
everybody.
today, man?
We're doing Money Mondays. You missed having me, right?
I know.
You had
I
my
know.
not as handsome from previous half on here.
There's Tarek had a little bit more hair, 20 pounds on
He
you.
had less hair for the record. I got more pounds, but he's definitely got less hair than me. So
He did a good job. He was a little bit of a deer in the headlights, but Tarek did a good job.
Oh, good.
You know. But
welcome everybody. Money Mondays is every Monday, 3:30 Central. What are we talking about today, Ben?
oh my gosh, how to vet potential partners in the multifamily real estate industry. And when we talk about partners, folks, right, we have the GP and the LP. We've talked about these concepts, right? The GPs are typically the managers, right? And then the LPs are the investors. So when we're talking about partners today, right, we're talking about how do you find other GP partners, right? And some of the things
can
that
avoid making the mistake I made and picking a mediocre at best partner. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, there's
Ben does a
also
good job.
you brought up a good point, right? So our partnership's a little bit unique, right? We actually have a real business. It's called Disrupt Equity, right? There's people that just partner up just to do deals.
Yeah.
They're semi-exclusive. Maybe they're not 100%.
Combined, they're a real business.
Yeah,
right?
they're a
One
real
person
business,
does one
but
part, another person
it's on
does
a
another.
deal-by-deal basis, right? And I think that's what we're talking about today, right? That's a good point, right? And so, or maybe you find somebody and you say, hey, I want to, build a business with you. And in that case, you guys are exclusive and you're going to go out and buy projects. But that doesn't mean that you don't also have partners too, right? So, how do you vet a potential partner, right? I think really you have to determine what is everybody bringing to the table and is it a win-win, right? Because somebody can bring something to the table, and I'll use a wild example, right? Say we're worth $100 million. I wish we were, but we're not, right?
On the way.
And then you're buying a $20 million deal. Somebody comes along and says, well, I'm worth $100 million too. That should be worth something to you guys. Well, it's really not, because we already have that. We're already bringing that to the table. You're not adding any value in that case, right? So you need to be bringing something of value to the people that are actually running the deal, right? So there's going to be lead sponsors and co-sponsors, right? The leads are typically the people that are kind of leading the charge, is how I'm going to describe that. So some of the things that we look for, right, and potential partners, right? Why don't you kick it off? What's probably one of the more important things?
So, I think ultimately, like we like to say, right, there's a lot of ways people can get involved in a deal, right? And you're finding ways to fill the gaps that you may have, right? And so even partners aside about how to vet them, right? What are the different roles people take on the GP side? There is finding the deal.
Yep.
There is operating the deal. There is doing construction management. There's helping with the balance sheet, right? Which really includes both liquidity and net worth.
Yep.
Right? There is, what else is there? There's managing investors is another big role. There is raising equity is another one. And, really...
Putting up earnest money?
Yeah, earnest money. There's a lot of different ways. And these are ways that we've partnered with people on these aspects as well, right? And so ultimately first figure out what gap do you have,
yes,
and who can fill that gap, right? Get the right butt in the right seat. Then figure out is that person qualified? Is that person someone you want to do business with? Do they have the things that you look for in a partner, right?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think you whoever is the lead, right? In this case, we'll go into each deal, and it amazes me that people are kind of fumbling around creating their team as they go, right? Before we get under contract on anything, we pretty much know who our team's going to be. Right, we already know what the splits are going to be. We already know how this is all going to kind of get rolled out. Some people do it a little bit more haphazardly, but I would say try to get that defined very, very early on, and define what that gap is, right? And then you go and find somebody, right? But in order to vet potential partners, right, I think really take a step back. It's like any other partnership, right? You have to know and trust that person first and foremost. And you need to determine if they're, at the end of the day, do they have experience, in what they're bringing to the table, right? People can say, oh, I can raise capital, or I can do this, I can do that, and then you quickly find out that they actually can't. So you need to do some level of due diligence, folks, right? This is a partnership. This is like a marriage. In fact, in some cases, it might be, if you go to divorce that person, it might be even more painful than a real divorce. So you need to really think that through pretty extensively, because we see a lot of these people coming hot off of a boot camp. They want to do deals. Oh, you want to do deal too? Oh yeah, okay, let's all do deals together, right? With no due diligence beyond the fact that you guys all went to the same event together, right? And that you all want to buy multifamily. I think there needs to be something a little bit deeper than that. Start off with just getting to know the person, right? And ultimately it starts with that, do you like the person being around them? Because you are going to be working with them for quite some time, sometimes in 5, 7, 10 years. Sure. And if you don't like that person, that's going to be a long time doing that, right? So I would say that do that level of due diligence, after you've determined what your gaps are going to be. And then we talked about, some of the things that, some of the roles that people can play, and we see a lot of people that, balance sheet and the equity raise and the earnest money or bringing the deal to the table. Those are probably the 4 biggest ones.
Absolutely, right. And,
I mean,
it's a team sport, right?
Yep.
This is where it's all about networking, getting to know the people, and that's why we host the conferences that we host. We do the meetups. We have our meetup this Thursday.
Yep.
All of that is to help introduce us to more potential partners and investors.
That's you actually brought up a good point, right? People always think that it's some kind of a funnel for investors for us, and in some cases it is, right? But just as important for us is we're trying to determine who are the players in the market, who are people that could add value to our organization and allow us to grow. And so that's why we put on a lot of events, and we've met a lot of people through these events that we go to. Yeah. Whether the people bring us deals or they add value in some other way, or they're just a connector, right? Oh, hey, I came out to this event, and you know what, you need to talk to this person, right? And so that's one of the reasons, and that's how you're going to find potential partners. I think that's one thing that maybe we can kind of go through here is where do you find partners? And I'd say at boot camps, networking events, online events.
Right? I mean, it's getting to know people and get to really know them, right? There is a lot of smoke and mirrors in this business, right? Get to know who you're working with and what they've done, what their actual track record is, right? And it's okay for them to be new, but just kind of get into bed with someone that you know what you're getting into, so to speak, right?
And I think you bring up a good point, man.
Got tons of them, Ben.
You're doing great right off of a vacation, man. You gotta get caught up on some of these good points, right? But the issue that we see in this business is that there is a lot of fake until you make it, and there's a lot of beefing up one's resume. And we're not here to publicly shame anybody. I mean, ultimately, people are doing things for different reasons, right? Ultimately, building your personal brand is important. We are probably more honest and transparent than most people. But you have to realize that those 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 doors that they claim to be, essentially GP or lead sponsors on, if you start digging a little bit deeper, you'll probably find out that that's not true, right? They might own a small position, or they might be providing a service, or whatever it might be, right? But they probably don't, they're probably not the lead sponsor on all of those units. And so you need to understand that, because people get propped up and they'll have speaking roles and they'll have all this stuff, and then people just believe it because they're assuming, oh, well, if they're up on stage, then they must be telling the truth, right? It's not really the truth. So you have to really dive into their track record, right? I'd say the other thing too is really just their character, work ethic, right?
Work ethic, and on that same vein, ask for real referrals.
Yeah.
That's another thing not enough people do. Right?
On partners for sure.
Partners, investors. Hey, can I talk to some of your investors? You quickly start to get a sense of, is this the guy that says he is, or is he, just a small piece of something, right? And again, not that there's a right or wrong, but just understand how that person's portraying themselves.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to character, right? We're looking for people that have the hustle, have the work ethic, are transparent, honest, and open. And ultimately, we can teach them a lot of other things, right? Those soft skills are really what we're looking for, right? That hustle is important, and doing the right thing is important for us. And so, if I'll take 20 of those folks over one ultra wealthy person that's just a big pain in my butt, right? Or lies all the time. So, and I think along that same vein that Ferris says, right? Ask for feedback from previous investors or previous partners. Yep. You'll quickly find out, are these people legit or not? You'll find out they're good, the bad, and the ugly. And do maybe a practice run. I think that's one thing that we kind of did too, right? Before we really, really consummated it, we kind of maybe did a little bit in parallel, but, go do a deal first, right? Before really creating a business
still
run.
Fooled me.
Before really creating a company, right? Let's go do a deal. And like I said, doing a deal is a big commitment too, but creating a whole, real estate firm that's then going to go buy another 20 deals, that's an even bigger commitment. So maybe test the waters, see how those people operate, what they had said that they can commit to, did they actually commit to? And we found that out from partners in the past, right? Who kind of sold us a little bit of a line of goods, and, and we live and learn. We still stuck to our commitment and ultimately got it across the finish line, but we'll think twice about ultimately partnering with those people in the future. So doing a practice run on something small is probably a good idea, just to determine if you want to expand on that partnership, right? All right. So what are some warning signs of bad partnerships?
I'd say the biggest one is just how easy is this person to get a hold of? Me personally, I don't like to do business with people that are just flaky.
Yeah, that's true.
Hard to get a hold of, hard to get commitments from, any of that stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter how much value they add, but ultimately it just becomes, you have to kind of value your own time, right? And how much time you want to spend chasing them. And whenever, you really need that person, is that person going to be around or not, right? So, that's probably the biggest one, I would say, just in terms of just vetting that person, right? That's a big warning sign. If that person's not easy to get a hold of, ask yourself, do you really want to do that? Other things too is just, again, if they can give you just straightforward answers to your questions, right? Do they weasel around? I mean, that's the thing. You see that, hey, Ben, how'd you do on your first deal? Well, it was, I mean, just, hey, it went well, it didn't went well, and here's what happened, right?
Yeah. Be open and candid with people.
Yeah, and admitting, I mean, that really is a good segue to admitting mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes, right? Ben makes them more than I care for him to make them, right? I tell him to stop, and he keeps doing it, but it's okay, right? We all make mistakes. Admit the mistake.
I'm trying to get better.
But we recognize the mistake. Don't just defer. I hate the people that defer. Oh, it was, it was so-and-so's fault, because, I mean, come on. We all make mistakes, okay, but own up to it, because then you can recognize a problem. You can actually solve the problem versus trying to sweep it under the rug. I think Ben and I talk about that all the time.
As a lead GP or lead sponsor or whatever the heck you want to call us, right? Lead syndicator. The buck stops with us, and we've made our fair amount of mistakes, and we'll be the first ones to admit it, right? I'll admit it on camera that, there's been deals that have been challenging for us, and we've made some mistakes on them, right? But I'm going to tell you one thing, right? The true test of character of a leader is somebody that doesn't make that same mistake twice. So that's the advice that I give to people on that. But, I would add, we've had a lot of people that have, once again, I go back to this, I don't want to beat this to death, but, where they've beefed up their resume, and then we found out the reality of that resume wasn't as beefy as they want to say it was, right? So that, when you catch them in a lie about, who they are or what track record they have, right? Mm-hmm. What else are they potentially lying about? Or what else could they potentially lie to you about in the future? Right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'd much rather somebody say, hey, I've done this, this, and this. Yeah, I know it's not a lot, but I can bring a lot to the table, versus, yeah, I've done 50 deals and I'm worth whatever amount of money and all this stuff, and then I find out that really none of that's true, or maybe half of that's true, right? Or maybe even 3/4 of that is true, and I'm still gonna be saying, you still lied to me, right? So that's a big warning sign for us, is just honesty and getting caught in a lie, right? So another question that kind of came in prior to the show was, what's a large reason why partnerships will go south in the multifamily industry? I'm going to say, once again, you didn't vet your partners properly, and you don't like, know, and trust each other, and so therefore, any bad thing that happens at the property.
I was going to say, those are symptoms of the underlying problem, which is just non-performance.
Yeah, I would say that's gonna fracture, right? That's what I was getting to, right? So you had poor performance at the property, then you have a weak partnership, it's gonna fracture, right? That's why you always hear these fractured partnerships, and that's an opportunity. And that's actually, we almost bought a deal a few months ago that was like that here in Houston, right? Where the deals were underperforming, they were gonna lose a lot of money. And ultimately that led to, a bigger firm here in Houston kind of breaking up. And, but it was ultimately just because they had gotten into some deals that they probably shouldn't have, and they put too much money into it, and it is what it is, right? But I would say the testament of a good partnership is to be able to get through those challenging times.
To work through problems. Problems happen, man.
And then I think that's important, right? SHIT will happen in this business. And if you can ultimately,
we're not on public media yet.
Well, right? And I'm trying to kind of keep it PG for the kiddos that can't spell that yet, right? But bottom line is,
we have 6-year-old.
I don't know. My daughter likes to watch this, so I'm not gonna. She probably can spell it. Anyway, my point is that, if you can get through the troubling times, like a COVID or like a deal that's been challenging, and make it out on the other side of it, you're probably going to be a stronger partnership too, right? It's just like a marriage. Because at the end of the day, if your marriage can survive tumultuous times and you guys make it out at the end, yeah, maybe you learned some things, maybe you grew closer, maybe things, ultimately, made that partnership stronger. That might be something that you can kind of look at as, hey, this is the person that I want to continue to go buy another 100 deals with. Right, but on the flip side of that, when you don't handle those situations well, is when you're going to have problems, right? So, boom, we blew through that, man. What do we got? Any questions? We're on the Q&A section, man.
Let's see. So if you have any comments, questions, anything you'd like to know, whether about this topic or others, please go ahead and leave a comment. We're happy to kind of go through them live. It doesn't have to be about today's topic. It could be about any topic.
Yep.
And so let's see. Who do we have? So Trevor says, great advice. Honesty and transparency so important.
Yep, it is.
Awesome. Let's see. Steve on YouTube said, how do you... He basically said, I mean, to simplify it, how do you read through all the BS that people are putting out there, right? There's a lot of fakes. What's the best way to get through it?
You know, I mean, I think, ultimately you have to do some due diligence on those people, right?
Yeah, get to know those people, meet them face to face, and then most importantly, talk to people that have worked with them, whether investors or operators.
There is ways to
sometimes having a conversation with these people, you can quickly, most people can sniff the BS, to be honest.
Oh, they all, and so, if you think somebody's full of that BS, most people are going to think that same thing, right? It's funny. We know some folks here in town that, and when you start asking around about them, and it's funny, everybody kind of has the same smirk on their face because they all think the same thing, that these guys are full of it, right? And so, sometimes it's not hard to wade through what's reality and what's not, right? But I would say for those folks that are a little bit more slick, right, do some due diligence, pull a credit, background check. There's ways to verify, how much they've done, right? It might take a little bit more sleuthing. You might have to talk to some brokers or maybe some other folks, and some stuff might be a little bit harder to find out, but there is ways to verify some of this information.
So let's see. So we got another question on Instagram. Shanakot, which is basically just asking about the time and location of Thursday's meetup. We barely mentioned that.
Oh my gosh, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, so Thursday's meetup is going to be 6:30 is kind of the kickoff start time, right? And where's it at, Ben?
Pitch 25 here.
25 here in Houston, 6:30 Central.
So it's obviously close to the stadium, right?
Close
it's
to the stadium.
On the other side of George R. Brown, right? It's kind of, I'd probably say the closest monument
2 minutes
to it.
from the George R. Brown Center.
Yeah.
So downtown Houston, would love to see you all there Thursday.
Are we inside,
Central.
Shanna? We're inside this time. All right. So Ben's not going to sweat through a shirt this time.
But Ben is going to bring a shirt just in case we have to go outside.
Yes, we might have to. Who knows, right? I'm like Hakeem Olajuwon. I have to have like a backup jersey, just to get through a networking event.
That's how much of a hardcore networker he is.
I'm running around. No, it was literally like 120 degrees outside and it was humid. So anyway, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're probably going to have, I'd say 75, 100 people out there, maybe even a little bit more. We'll provide some content. I think we got a panel going on, right? Is it equity raising, Shanna?
You're talking about raising equity. So
raising equity. Come on, this is a big, fun topic that everybody wants to obviously find out about. I think one of us will probably jump on the panel. I don't know.
One of us will moderate.
And one of us moderate, right?
So let's see. Let's keep going. So Kathy says, what do I need to do to work on a deal with you guys? Serious question. Come network.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's really what it boils down. Kathy, we know you. So just have more conversations, right? It's putting stuff in front of you. You put stuff in front of us, and you find synergies, right? That's how it works with any partner, and and a lot of it is also timing, right?
Yeah,
time,
it is.
right place at the right time. That's how some of these things happen too. So.
I think that's actually probably the most important thing, right? We work on a lot of projects. Sometimes we have our own projects. Sometimes we're partnering with other people, right? It's just so that timing component is probably the biggest key. But I'd say right now, what we're looking for, folks, I'm actually going to start doing this, right? Bring us some deals.
Yeah, we are happy to partner with anybody on a deal.
As long as it's a win-win.
Deal, and we can add value in multiple ways, and we can help get it to the finish line.
Absolutely. Ultimately, there'll be a level of vetting that we will do on the deal and how we're going to structure the partnership. But we are open to partnering with people. That's how we've grown to where we're at. And deals are tight these days. So if you find something and you're saying, hey, I want to get this across the finish line, ultimately we can bring a ton of value to the transaction, and we'd love to do it. So, Kathy, I'd say I know you're kind of looking in our neck of the woods and maybe some other spots. Show us something. Let's go from there.
All right. Let's see. Ollie says it's a good idea to get investing experience through working in private equity firms rather than trying to get into the investing world with no experience. Yeah. No, you learn a lot. Like even me working at Microsoft, which you think was something not related, taught me a lot about what I do today, right? You learn something with any role. The closer you are to real estate, probably the more likely you learn, right? But I like to say, what we do is project management on steroids,
yes,
right? Like what
true.
we do is more, and guess what? At Microsoft, I learned to do that very, very well. So you learn something with any role that you have, hopefully, right? As long as it kind of fits that. And so there's nothing wrong. Being in a private equity firm, you'll learn a lot more about where money comes from and how it goes. We also learn that doing what we do. But again, you'll have that insight, and that's a way you could add value to other operators like us. right? If you get to know 30 other private equity firms, so guess what? That's a way to add value to other people. So.
Absolutely. No. From that perspective, absolutely. From an equity raise perspective. And we network and we know a lot of people that are ex-Wall Street, including Tarek, who was on the show last week, right? You know, he used to work at BlackRock. So, you know, those types of firms add a lot of value, right? I would say they're probably a little light on the operator side of it, but they're good on the capital stack, which means they know debt and equity, they know how financing works, right? They're probably going to be pretty good at asset management, project management. So, you know, I mean, if you have a leg in there, Ali, I'd say go for it, man. I mean, ultimately, it's pretty good pay. You know, you're probably going to work your butt off, you know, but you know, it might be a good few years you hustle, and then maybe you can break off and do your own thing. And we know a lot of people that have done that too.
So the next question from Ollie was, will it build confidence in investors to invest with you? Yeah, I mean, people are looking for experience, and you understand money.
You say Wall Street, it's like a bell, and even subconsciously, even in my mind, I'm like, okay, hey, you know, if these guys made it into Wall Street and they were able to be semi-successful, then they must be sharp people, right? You know, now that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm automatically going to partner with them or invest with them, but it definitely gives you a little bit of a leg up because, you know, you're part of that fraternity or, you know, in a woman's perspective, a sorority.
Yeah.
Right?
And so then we have a couple more comments, questions. I'm going to combine them into the same question.
Boom, let's do it.
Basically, Kathy said, I have some possible deals in my pipeline. Trevor says, I'd love to partner with you guys on some days. Michael says, what size deals, which markets, and asset class do you like? All right. So, for anyone interested in bringing us, maybe we should have qualified that a little bit more. Ultimately, you know, we are happy to partner.
We should do a show about this, though.
We should. You know. We're happy to partner with people on a deal that's maybe minimum 90 units, right?
Yes.
90 units up to, sky's the limit, 500 units, right?
Yep.
We will partner with people, and if we can't get it all done, we can help bring people to help, right? To get it done. It's about partnerships. And, you know, primarily we're looking Texas, Georgia, Florida.
Yes.
Maybe, you know, North Carolina if someone has a good deal. But my big feedback to people is we also get a lot of stuff from people. So please do the homework for us. Yeah. I've already qualified the deal. I've already underwritten the deal. Yeah. Here's the key things to consider. Here's the story. And let's go get it done, right? So, you know, it's about really doing that before coming to us because we do get a lot, and if we got to go do all this work too, like yes, we have a team that can underwrite and do all that, but we need someone to do that first step to kind of help us, right, to know how serious you are. Because also some people send us 50 deals a week, and I'm like, well, that's not really valuable. Like, what's the value? What's the value that person providing? Right?
They're deals. They're deals, right? And then you 49 of them turn out to be crap, right? So you know, I'd also further qualify, right? You know, I mean, we want them to be B class and newer. You know, would we do a 70s deal if there's a value add component? Absolutely. You know, there's just not a lot more of those out there these days, so we're trying to stick to 1980s and newer, you know, up to say 2015. You know, we like to have some kind of a value add component there, and even Class A deals can have some value add. You know, we just looked at a couple this last week.
Totally
so, you know.
And yes, new development also we're happy
absolutely.
To if it works. So.
You know, I mean, especially if it's in Texas. So, you know.
All right.
Yeah, maybe we should have. I didn't realize that people were going to be interested in that.
People caught on to the little sentence here and there. Nobody cared about the key part.
Everything else.
Nobody cared about the other stuff.
No, but like, you know, I mean, I think people need to understand that, I mean, this is how we've always done it. We've always partnered with people. We just haven't really announced it that much, right? No. So, all right, man.
All right, let's keep going. So, what else is going on, Ben?
We have...
Oh, wait, we got one more.
Oh.
Guys, do you have a specific underwriting template that you'd like to use when getting deals submitted to you? This is from our buddy Ed Aguilo. The feedback is we'll look at what you have and then we can plug it into ours later.
Yeah.
Start with just doing that homework and kind of helping.
I mean, we've had experience with a lot of them, right? You know, and for folks that know us, know the ones that we do, the ones that we use. But we've used all kinds of different ones over the past. Yeah. So, you know, but
let's keep going.
So he was in Miami last week. What were we doing in Miami?
We had our big conference, went really well. 350 plus people.
Yeah.
Home run, packed house, great networking, great people. And we're excited because what, Ben? What's coming up? Our big one is coming up, right?
Boom.
So our biggest one, for those of you that have been to them, we've done 7, 8 of these. Our big one is in Houston, our backyard. It's going to be a home run. We already have some great speakers lined up. It's going to be 600, 700 people out there. And it gets more expensive as time progresses. So,
get your early bird
from our side, we like to have the house filled up front, so we know exactly how to plan. We don't want to know if we're going to get 500 people or 700 people. That's a big difference in terms of planning, so we like to front load it.
Yep.
So if you're going to come check it out, we highly recommend it. We already have Tom Wheelwright coming, Garrett Sutton, and a couple of other guest speakers coming as well as the great Ben Suttles will be there.
Oh, no.
So, come check it out, people. It's Houston. Hotel is cheap for you guys, right? The room's like $140. So I mean, no excuses, people. It is the premier multifamily networking conference. It's be exciting. It'd be
Absolutely. So check it out, mfinvestornetwork.com. Put in early bird as your coupon code and
for
get
the rest of this week, right? Then the price goes up.
the rest of the week, right? Shanna, giving me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Is that
Let's
right?
see,
All
Tim Vitale says,
$180 off. Not a bad deal.
Tim says the conference was awesome.
Thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it, Tim. Yeah. All right, Tim, I recognize you. I was looking at the pictures.
No, we get a lot of good feedback here, folks. The reason is that, and I can't stress this enough, we've created an environment where people feel open just to network and get to know each other and build those relationships without some fear that they're going to be sold something, right? We're literally not selling any products or services here, right? Now, we have a lot of great vendors that we use that bring along that are going to be sponsors of the event, and they ultimately are as well. But Ben Ferris and ultimately Kenny Wolf from Wolf Investments, who we partner with, do not sell you anything, which is great.
All right,
and we got to have a lot of opportunities to network too.
Kathy asked,
some networking, some speed networking there, which is
true.
Pretty cool.
That went well. We're gonna do more of that. Kathy said, "What's the date?" Website says 2/12. The website is correct.
February 12th.
So
yes,
February
it's a little ways
12th.
away. So mark that calendar off. It's like it's a little bit far
Trevor
out.
says conference was great. Got my VIP ticket already. Appreciate
Awesome.
it, Trevor.
Thanks, Trevor. We appreciate that, buddy.
All right. And let's see, Tim also said, yes, absolutely. It wasn't 12-hour commercial for courses and mentorship.
We try not to, right?
Yeah.
And people never believe that. They always,
no sales pitch for
they're always
like,
waiting.
We
for
do
that,
it to put on a great event, and honestly, we do it for the topic of this meetup, which is finding partners. That's what it's all about. That's how we find a lot of the people that we work with.
Yeah.
So that's why we host it. For us, if we break even, we're happy. We lost a lot of money in the first couple. I think we fine-tuned it to where we're to break even. That's all the goal is. We don't sell a course or a meetup or a mastermind or any of that stuff. So.
Yep. So what are we talking about next week, man?
Next week, we're talking about managing investor relations part 2.
Ooh,
right?
part deuce. All right. Yeah, no, there was a part of the process that was a little bit more intense. We might drag Tarek in here. Who knows? I don't know. We can have him stand in the corner, but Shannon's laughing. We won't make Tarek stand in the corner, folks. But anyway, no, we wanted to kind of dive into, more of that middle part of the process when you really are having to manage paperwork and managing investors when you're in a deal. I think that's the most touch point process that you're going to have with your investors throughout the whole entire time that you're investing with them or they're investing with you. So it's important to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that. So we'll go into that process next week. So tune into that. Should be interesting. Should be fun.
Yeah, totally agree.
And we'll keep going on this thing.
So that's it. Let's call it a wrap. Mondays, every Monday, 3:30 Central. Look forward to seeing you guys all next time.
We'll see you next